You're probably wondering how I ended up here. Well, the short version is that I stole a car, was chased down by the police, took the police's car, was chased down again, attacked the police, and then I was thrown in prison. And now I'm here. The long version is that I was sponsored to try out Neverness to Everness, an upcoming open-world gacha RPG set as an urban supernatural adventure. I got access to its latest closed beta test, and in this video, I'll show you what this game is about and my experience with it. Hey everyone, it's Sevi, and let's talk about Neverness to Everness. So before I was thrown in prison, I went through a whole bunch of intro cutscenes and tutorials just like most gacha games, especially open world gacha games, do these days. This intro basically threw me into the deep end of weird supernatural phenomena in a dense, bustling city of high-rise buildings and office workers. The enemies that spawned were weird looking and the agents that came to defeat them were interesting. And hot, of course. They always have to be hot. And it's a lot of skill and burst and normal attack combo spam combat with parries, dodges, and switch abilities. I'm not going to go too much in depth with the combat here because honestly everything else stood out to me so much more. But if you ever get curious about the combat, it at least is introduced very early on. Finally, we meet our MC and more hot characters. We're given an amnesia arc with this one, which isn't my favorite thing in the world, but at least I'm quickly given a job. And that's how you can tell this is definitely not real life. Anyway, having a job is the first major aspect of our new life in Heathero City. I'm going to be working as an agent of the Bureau to resolve anomalies and fight monsters. Naturally, I meet some companions that are also playable characters, given a dormitory, and finally we're out of tutorial mode. The real fun can begin. Now, because I was playing this live on stream, the first thing my chat does is ask if I can steal a car. Apparently, it's not that hard. You can go up to any poor soul and ask for their car under the reason of, "It's official business, sir." Someone might give it to you without putting up a fight. Others might be like, "Sorry, I'm kind of busy," but you can take it from them anyways. Then you trigger the warrant system and you hear sirens in the background, and now you're a wanted criminal. So I tried the car chase. I drove. Badly. I'm already not the best in-game driver, so I had a pretty hard time driving these cars like a sane person. I hit way too many NPCs. Anyway, this is when I realized just how big the map of NTE City really is. I'll come back to this later, but I gotta emphasize here and now, I was impressed by the scale of it, or at least how big it felt. Well, I was eventually caught, probably because I resisted arrest, and then my prison time started. The funny bit here is you can pay your way out of prison. I technically had enough cash to, but I wanted to break out the exciting way. You see, there was a hole in the wall of my cell that was covered up by posters, and I had to steal spoons from the prison cafeteria to dig the hole big enough to escape. But I couldn't do it so fast. Prison days have a routine. In the morning, I could work. Work was Power Wash Simulator. I was literally cleaning walls. To anyone who likes Power Wash Simulator, just know that if you end up in prison, Power Wash therapy awaits you. Then it's lunch break in the cafeteria, and this is where I get my spoons. I had to wait till the lunch lady wasn't looking. Otherwise, I could get caught, and that would actually extend my prison stay by a day. After that is yard time, and over the several days I was there, I discovered a few interactions. First, I could go to the infirmary. Second, I could check out the bully situation. The guard here didn't want to mess with the bully, so I tried to confront him, and I lost. It turns out we don't have enough plot armor in prison. Third, I could give this guy soap. Soap could be found lying around different parts of prison, and if I gave this guy 5 bars of soap, he'd give me a health item. Anyway, after days of digging at the hole with a spoon, I could finally escape. Except I suck at stealth missions, and I failed this more times than I'm willing to admit. But once I was out, I had to get off the island, and the only way off was a boat being driven by someone else?
Hello there.
I mean, maybe MC doesn't know how to operate a boat, or maybe this guy just isn't being paid enough to care that he's helping a prisoner escape. So then came the longest boat ride I'd ever known. I fully expected to run into a loading screen somewhere between here and the main island, but it just kept going. And then I was free. So with my newfound freedom, I did my best to get to know the city a bit more. When I'm checking out a closed beta for the first time, I usually spend my time trying to speedrun the main quests to unlock as much of the basic content as possible. But here, I just had a lot of fun running around and exploring the city map. There were a ton of shops to enter and look around and buy things from. Climbing buildings was effortless and cool because there's no stamina even when going vertically. Getting on rooftops always allowed an interesting view. There were animals on corners that you could pet. And then there were were NPC interactions too. Aside from people getting mad at me for driving into their cars, I could also run into random petty crime events and fight them for harassing a bank or a shop. They also have these quirky telephone booths that are actually teleport waypoints. I don't know, maybe it's just the city girl in me, but having this big of a city open world was kind of just an experience to feast on. Entering buildings didn't start any loading screens. Everything was just easy to access. You could also very easily see how this city changes going from the central downtown area to the outskirts, where buildings are cuter, smaller, roads are narrower, and the trees are a bit more dense. I'm the type of person who enjoys exploring cities in real life, so the anime version of this was extremely attractive to me and comforting at the same time. I know you could acquire cars in this game, but running around the city made me wish for smaller modes of transportation like a bike or skateboard or skates, so I hope they'll add that in the future. There are also lots of side quests and anomaly commissions you can run into. I personally find a lot of the dialogue skippable here, but there was one side quest that had me looking for a magic mirror, and when I found it in a small shop in the outer city, it told me afterward that I could change the gender of my MC, so that's pretty cool. Anyway, after having gotten my fill of city roaming, I'm kidding, I hadn't gotten my fill of it, I just had to progress the main story, I got back on track. The quests have this vibe of supernatural detective drama comedy that you'd get from an old multi-season series with 20-minute episodes. They're cool and fun and entertaining, but I wasn't super invested, and luckily there is a skip button. There was even this bit where the robot otter assistant Tagido goes on a date, and we have to get him a suit, flowers, a gift for his date and everything. Then it ends in some kind of boss fight. Again, cute and fun, but what I was really more interested in was all the stuff this unlocked. First, I got a car. For some reason, MC is kind of loaded, so I could finally have my own vehicle to drive around without having to steal from random citizens. Second, I got a debit card. It turns out the best way to sell someone credit, debit, bank membership, or whatever is through cute anime girls who will beg you to please sign up because surely the benefits are fantastic. Well, here, the benefits are fantastic because I can now start my City Tycoon arc. I just had to do these quests to level up my City Tycoon level and unlock more features. And the next one was buying a small cafe business and employing my characters to work there. This was just the first of many businesses I could run, which honestly had me way too excited. And finally, to complete my initial integration into Hetero as a law-abiding productive citizen, I got to buy an apartment. It's a cute apartment too. Like, it's on the 5th floor, it has a decently sized kitchen, and it's a loft setup upstairs. And once again, it's the first of many properties I can buy. I had randomly bought some furniture while running around a while ago, so I set those down and made the place feel like home. And honestly, I'm looking forward to decorating this place even more. Now, you know what else makes it feel like home? Inviting your characters to live there. After a certain affinity level with your playable characters, you can have them just stay in your apartment dressed in loungewear and interact with them. So just to recap everything, somehow I, as this character, despite having no memories and no apparent identity at the moment, was handed on a silver platter the chance to become a real estate and business tycoon with a bougie apartment, car of my choice, and a waifu at home. Wow. I was then told to go play mahjong, which you can do at this maid cafe. Yes, an actual maid cafe, complete with maids, a photo booth, food, and mahjong tables. Unfortunately, I didn't actually get to play because it needs matchmaking, which is kind of hard to do in a beta test. Anyway, when I learned that this was another open world anime gacha game, I didn't expect to enjoy it like a city living sim. A lot of the big open world anime games right now are pretty narrative heavy and kind of make you prioritize going through the main quest and experiencing the lore and world building first. But here, I just felt like I was playing a really upscale cozy sim of living the ideal city life, and I loved that. That and the fact that there was an entire prison arc that you could do kind of showed me that this game just has a lot of different things you can do, play around with, or choose to focus on. Like, yeah, there's character builds and combat and bosses to be found around the map, and I'm sure you could just opt to lean into that, and it will probably become more important as story and difficulty progresses. But this feels like there's a lot more to do for casual players, since a lot of the living sim features are completely independent of combat and builds so far. I'm personally a fan of that, and I think it'll definitely add to the appeal for a lot of players. Now, I do keep calling this an anime gacha game, so I will have to touch on the gacha. Here goes. NTE's Gacha, as of this beta test, has no 50-50s. It's just guarantees. It's your typical get an A rank in a 10 pull, get an S rank in 90 pulls. And the banners they gave us, A ranks could be characters, arcs, which are like weapons or mod equivalents, or even just a pull refund. But what stands out to me about their gacha is that it's an entire board game thing. You are literally rolling dice and seeing where the character will land, which is a pretty literal representation of gacha rolling. It's really unique and entertaining to watch, but of course, if you want to cut through it, you can just click the skip button. Taking a quick look at the characters, I'm pleased to say that they currently already have several male characters in their roster. Several very attractive male characters. And a furry. There's also tall women to step on you, cat girls, and kids who I guess are agents to be. They get arcs as weapon mod things, and then consoles with Tetris pieces as equipment, probably with the whole randomized stat deal. They have skills to level up, both for combat and for exploration, and then here's the page for copies. This one's fun because while the photos activate in sequence, you can choose which dupe abilities to unlock, and you can even toggle them whenever. This is a level of flexibility I'm not familiar with, so I thought that was really nice. Then in a profile page, the first thing that grabbed my attention was the outfits. Yes, multiple outfits and skins for different settings. Not every character has the same number of outfits available to them right now, or at least in this beta test, but I'm assuming that if this feature is already here, then they'll be adding outfits every so often when live service actually starts. Their unlock conditions vary too, but I also hope that we can buy outfits or clothing items from boutique shops or something along the way. Anyway, I had way more fun with this beta than I thought I would. I do hope they work on their optimization though, because even my really powerful PC was dropping frames at some point, and a bustling city map this big seems like it can fry an iPhone right now, so I'm a bit concerned. I just honestly feel like there's so many cool things to try here with so many different directions to take, and I'm really into that. But let me know in the comments if you think you'll be into that as well, or what you found interesting so far. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to my channel for more content, and I will see you soon. Take care!